All right. I'm guessing Assembly Member Al Marisucci is thankful he wasn't in the golf cart this time when I was pulling up. I almost lost him. We almost lost an Assembly Member, a great advocate for the South Bay a few years back. That would have been tragic in my golf cart. Let's give it up for Mayor Barry White of Lomita and the Barbershop Quartet, the Coastliners. Barry's in the back. Great job, Barry. Barry's been involved with the South Bay and the Council of Governments and many other things for many, many years. Thanks, Barry. I want to welcome everybody here to kick off our festivities. This is a big day for El Segundo, and I want to welcome our newest guest of honor to the City of El Segundo, and that is Tom the Turtle. I didn't write this. Okay, this is how... I made up the Tom part, but seriously, you might have noticed there's signs all around town with a turtle, and this turtle indicates that this is a slow zone area for driving. And so the new saying here in El Segundo is slow is the way to go. A fun fact, everybody on council has either owned a golf cart. Mayor Pro Tem Pimentel did drive up on a high-speed motorcycle today, actually, but it's still low emissions, right? And he had a golf cart himself, or they've had e-bikes or any other of these multimodal, slow-moving vehicles. And you see them all throughout town in El Segundo. In fact, E3, Amy and Will, thank you for being here. They sell golf carts and other multimodal, slow-moving vehicles on Pacific Coast Highway. They've been a sponsor of the Council of Governments for the last, 4 years, Jackie, with the General Assembly, and big advocates for what we're doing here. So thank you so much. And it was really fun to drive up with my dear friend and environmental chair, Tracy Miller-Zarnicki, in our golf cart. Tracy and her committee have been really involved in advocating for these neighborhood electric vehicles as well. So our community now has, as you saw, we pulled up in these new parking spots. These are for neighborhood electric vehicles, and they're a little bit wider. You think, why is it such a wide spot? Well, it's actually for American with Disabilities Act, so people can access their vehicle, and they've got plenty of time to move around. And we're actually going to have 6 of these NEV parking spots throughout the city. We'll have 2 at the library, 2 at Rec Park, and 2 right here. So we're really excited about that. Yeah, that's great. And I did see a Lincoln Continental parked in there the other day, so we got to work on enforcement. But anyway, so we're here to celebrate this. We're the first city of the South Bay local travel network to roll this out. And the long-term vision, having been the former chair of COG, we've been working on this, Jackie, this has been 15 years in the making or something in totality. And I think I've worked on it for 4, and Cedric and Chris and so many others. And the goal here is to connect the entire South Bay through a local travel network. So it's gonna be tough for El Segundo. We're still working on how we connect El Segundo to Manhattan Beach, what avenues we use to do that in a slow-moving capacity, but the goal is that you can get around the entire South Bay and the rest of LA on a slow-moving vehicle. So that's what we're working towards, and this is a big first step in the right direction. And I just learned, I didn't know this, we're the first city in the world to launch a low-speed, zero-emission street network on existing low-speed streets. So let's give it up for that. We like to say where big ideas take off. This is another example. We also love to say we're the most important 5 square miles economically in Southern California, right, Assembly Member? We keep your district. This is the economic engine for your district in the state. And we're also proud now to say that this is the only 5 square miles, the first, I should say, to have this low-speed network through it. We're really excited about that. The project was made possible through the work of the South Bay City Council of Government, with Jackie and all of our staff. It came with funding from Measure M, and I think you're going to get into more of the COG component of that, Chair Cedric, but Measure M sub-regional sales tax, and a big assist from our Assembly Member Al Marisucci from the 66th District, who paved the way for us to create the network on city streets, and has got a big check for us here today as well. We're really thankful for that. Just a quick aside, Al's been a good friend. He's only been our Assembly Member for what? A year, and it feels like a lifetime with all the stuff we've been through. He's been a tremendous friend to the City of El Segundo in the South Bay. He advocated for us on many different fronts, local control with housing, as well as with Hyperion. Thank you for authoring that bill. Tracy and Ryan and Carol and the rest of the council, we're so thankful that you were able to do that, to hold Hyperion accountable for the air quality standards, so we can once and for all say yes, our air quality is safe here in El Segundo. So we're really happy and thankful. And this is just another example. So you've gotten a lot done with your staff. And Melissa, where are you at? Mayor Ramosa, you guys have done a great job. We really appreciate it. Thank you. So you may be, yeah. And I want to acknowledge a few people. We've got Marcia Hansen, Director of the Chamber of Commerce, big part of this. Thank you for that. We've got Jocelyn Walden from Holly Mitchell's office, Supervisor Mitchell. Jackie Backrack, how long have you been Executive Director of the COG? Don't answer that, long time. Barbara Voss, Deputy City Manager, Economic Development Director and Communications. Daryl George, City Manager. Elias Sassoon, Director of Public Works, been really involved with Hyperion and this project. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce Cedric in a second. Paige Coldervac from Redondo Beach, new member to the COG. Thank you for being here. And then my colleagues, Councilmember Lance Giroux, Councilmember Ryan Baldino, Councilmember and former Mayor Pro Tem Carol Perstick, and Mayor Pro Tem Chris Pimentel. That's like the entire audience. Did I miss anyone? Okay, hold on. Let's see. So I also want to say that that's really about it. Why go so slow when you want to get there fast? I also didn't write that one. But it's because we really want, I think you're going to touch on this, right, Cedric? This whole notion of a little bit of it. But the idea is that people can feel safe driving multimodal vehicles through this network in a slow speed environment. And so Cedric, who is the chair, he's a council member of Carson, but he's also the current chair of the South Bay City Council of Government. Let's give it up for Chair Cedric Hicks. Thank you, sir. Sorry.
Well, thank you, Drew, for that introduction. It is always a pleasure to come out and come to another city so close to the beach. I love the breeze. It's really a nice change of pace from the oil refineries in the city of Carson. I recently had an opportunity in my own city, the city of Carson, where we did a tour de Carson, and I actually rode an e-bike through the city, and I did about a 15-mile ride in through the city of Carson, and we had over 200 residents in attendance of that. So many of the residents who did not want to ride a bicycle ended up getting an e-bike and enjoyed riding as they went through the city of Carson. And I agree with Drew that the low-speed, zero-emission vehicles are the best way to go around town. But just to take a word forward, the South Bay City Council of Government has been documenting the South Bay pattern, as Drew has talked about, for about 15 years. So it's been an ongoing process. It's not something that's an overnight boom you hear. It took planning, and we made it to this far. Throughout the South Bay COG research, we found that 70% of the trips that most of us take in our oversized vehicles are in local destinations within our own cities and areas. We've also found that most of the cars are carrying, this is real funny for me, 1.67 people. 1.67 people. So I kind of pondered that. I said, what is a 1.67 people? I said, well, maybe it's a one person that's a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old in the car, or maybe it's a one person with a 13-year-old in the car, or maybe a friend of mine that's 67 years old, I don't know. But a lot of cars in the area drive around, and it's a 4,000-pound vehicle that's just carrying a few people around town with the emissions. Research also show that the cost of owning a new combustion engine car, including maintenance and fuel, is around $12,000 a year. By comparison, an average NEV is also 1/3 of the price of a full-size car, while bikes and e-scooters range from a few $100s to several $1,000s. Another bonus, did you know neighborhood electric vehicles, e-bikes, e-scooters, and other low-speed vehicles charge on a standard plug that is the same one as in your home right now? That puts much less load on the grid and costs less to charge. And we should also understand that going slow is not easy, but we're going to go slow. Thousands of Americans die each year because of traffic collisions, because of the lack of the speed and fatalities that is known in the community. And this is one of the things that I'm always advocate for, that your sidewalks, your parking lots and driveways, I'm trying to put in more speed bumps, but I'm just trying to make sure that we're able to have people slow down. Too many people are getting hurt behind cars and people driving too fast in the community. But you know what? The real good part about it is that it's fun to drive. You saw how Drew came up here blasting his music. I just want to make sure you didn't make any skid marks. But demonstrations as provided reveals that people appreciate looking around at the scenery and waving their hands to their neighbors as they drive through the community, instead of just trying to get to their destinations very quickly. The LTN builds a network for low-speed vehicles that can exceed 25 miles, that does not exceed 25 miles within the network. It is creating a zero safe zone for all drivers to respect low speed and each other. When you look at the facts, the message is clear. It is time for us to just right-size our rides for local trips. When you think about local trips, consider whether you need more than one long-distance car or that extra car you have. You know, some of us have 2 or 3 cars. You know, the old car that you loved back in the day and you didn't want to get rid of it is still in the driveway, but it runs, but it smokes too. But you start it up and then turn it back off again. Those kind of vehicles. And now that we have the low-speed vehicles can address most of our needs in the community. We can go from here to there, short stops in our community, and not having to go long-distance trips. And now we would like to introduce, at this point, Mayor Pro Tem Chris Pimentel. He is the South Bay COG Transportation Committee Chair, and he's here to tell us about the project and how it came to fruition.
So subsection D, column R of the funding plan. No, thank you, Cedric. I think that what we found here is to get this project over the finish line, we had to understand why people would be averse to using low-speed vehicles, and a big portion of it was safety. So this phase of the project, to get it implemented, really focused on finding complementary routes to major arterials so people could be comfortable using, whether it's golf carts, any sort of the last mile multimodal transport, the scooters and the bikes. A piece of that was finding routes that we found appealing and finding a way to mark them, which will be our turtle sign to this. All told, when this is completed, you're looking at about 245 miles worth of routing. And for us as a region, that allows us to tie our beach communities to the inland communities and allows us to go, in theory, from Inglewood to San Pedro in one day. Now, 240 miles, to put that into perspective, is a round trip to San Diego by mileage. I'm not sure I'd recommend doing that on a scooter, but it is possible depending on what you're trying to get away from. So, just looking at you, Mr. Mayor. We couldn't have done it without some key players, because there's a reason this study lasted 15 years. It becomes a part of the important but not critical pile. And when we try to bring these things to fruition, it's how do we take things that we think are important and find mechanisms to bring them to life. So a big part of this finish line is Caltrans helping us with the last bit of engineering to get us over the finish line. It's a lot of the COG staff helping us access the Measure M funding and some of the creativity that goes into saying, here's a bit of our sales tax increment that we can use for this. Certainly no small part of it is the streets and staff team in here in El Segundo that mobilized on really short notice to get 47 different signs put up and things repainted. Those aren't always things that they love to do for elected officials, but we really appreciate their patience with us. And then, we have a design and engineering firm that has to deal with a bunch of people like us trying to figure out what the turtle should look like, right? Which is, I promise you that our design firm, who I will mangle, I think it's Peer and Faith, they sat through and were patient enough with us to get that through. I'm sorry, I know I screwed it up. But all of those things brought this phase one to fruition. We look forward to being able to tie into the rest of the South Bay and seeing it come through. So the one-day trip to Carson can come out there. Eventually we'll be able to go to the different stadiums and things from here in our golf carts, ideally not blaring those tunes, but in our golf carts. So thank you all very much. Certainly thank you for all the staff work and design work and the patience that goes in with getting these big government projects moving. And thank you. I'll turn you over to our environmental chair, Tracy Miller-Zarnicki, who's going to talk about her narrative with her golf cart.
Yeah, so I'm thrilled to see this progress in our town and eventually in the greater South Bay. We, on the city's environmental committee, were reconvened in 2014 in support of implementing the climate action plan that the COG put together, that the city bought into finally in 2017. And addressing urban development and streets being part of that was a part of our effort to reduce greenhouse gases. So along those lines, our earlier work in the South Bay actually helped get the South Bay Bicycle Coalition Sharrows put in. That was something that we talked about for a long time, and finally did, and that has made a difference in our town. So what we're doing here is next level and wonderful in our effort to get to more zero-emission vehicles in our town. So, as you know, we've got different models of them out and about. We have definitely embraced the electric bicycle in town. They may not go as slowly as we will want them to go on our turtle roads, but all things considered, we do prefer that we have more of those type of vehicles than gas-powered vehicles out and about in our town, especially for that, 1.7 mile radius that most of us spend a lot of time spinning around in. So I have to say, with all those meetings that I was in with the COG and the city and all these talks about greenhouse gases, it made me think, well, how can I make a change in this way? And I will say I have 2 teens, and when it came to the time that they were going to be drivers, I said, no way are we going to add to the gas thing. So we turned in some German engineering, and we bought this vehicle here, which is literally, I think, one of the oldest golf carts in town, definitely one of the oldest ones ever made for street legal purposes. It's a 2002, and when I drive, it sounds like it, so just know, it's okay. It just sounds old and rickety. But I will say again, as the environmental committee chair, I think it's important that we talk about, buying things secondhand, reusing old things, all that we're putting into play here, get some bonus green points in action there. So I will say that we recognize that El Segundo faces some big environmental impacts based on surrounding things. But what we can do as people is make a little change everywhere we can. Every little change in being eco-friendly makes a difference here. And we look forward to this inspiring more change, this that you'll see in a minute, inspiring more change here, and everything we can do to reach within El Segundo, but beyond our little bubble here as well. And we hope to see a lot more neighbors rolling through in slow mode. And now back to our slow rolling in the cart, but never really slow-paced mayor, Drew Boyles.
Alina Wilbro Benson, thank you for being here. Senator Ben Allen was dying right when I got off here. I was like, oh, what an idiot. And Aaron Baum, I see you in the back. Thanks for everything you did with South Bay COG too to help us along. Did I miss anyone? Did I get everyone? All right. I have the privilege of. What's the name again? Farron Piers. Thank you for your design work. Did I get it right this time? Yes. All right. Thank you. So I have the distinct privilege of bringing up our Assembly Member Al Marisucci, and Al, as I mentioned earlier, huge advocate for the City of El Segundo. Al, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, El Segundo. It's so good to see everyone here, and I want to first start off by giving a shout out to that wonderful a cappella musical performance. I should have known that it was Lomita Mayor Barry Waite and his friends, but as soon as I walk up here, I feel that small town vibe that makes El Segundo so special. And so thank you very much to Mayor Boyles for inviting me. Thank you to the City of El Segundo for inviting me to join all of you today. I want to give my congratulations to Chair Hicks, Jackie Bacharach, and all the folks with the South Bay Council, City's Council of Governments. I was just talking with Jackie about how they make it so easy for me to support so many of the initiatives of the South Bay COG because it's so forward-thinking. Whether it's the South Bay Fiber Network to support small businesses and close the digital divide, or now this local transportation, local travel network. I not only appreciate the motto of slow is good, but especially we're contributing to our efforts to cut down on all the pollution and save our planet by fighting climate change. I think this is another example of how El Segundo is really the most important 5 square miles in the county of Los Angeles. Okay, so, on that note, I wanted to, continue to support this wonderful community of El Segundo. Not only were we able to work together to pass legislation to establish, to make it easier to make plans for neighborhood electric vehicles like the cool vehicles that Mayor Boyles and School Board Member Miller Zarnicki pulled up in, but also, to make that, take that county-wide. And once again, El Segundo is leading by example. And I know that as part of this effort to build out the local travel network, that you are building more, you're going to be needing more EV chargers. And so to support that effort and support your overall leadership and, promoting your small town atmosphere while saving the planet, I want to present this check from the state of California to the city of El Segundo for $700,000 to support your efforts for EV chargers. Mr. Mayor.